Yeah, for sure. Churnwalker on Gabe is just broken. I mean, every captain he plays is so strong. And a smart play by Churnwalker. And I think here they will probably either take the Vox or the Arden and deny that Arden pick that Impunity loves so much. It's by far the captain they play the most of out of all 4 days of this competition.
The other thing they could do is pick up the Koshka, then ban the Baptiste, but that's going to be risky because you can get countered with a Rona pick that Impunity can pick up very easily since they have 2 more remaining before it goes back to Cloud9 on the B side. So Cloud9, like we said, most likely a Vox or an Arden here, or even go back to the Lorelei if they really are feeling confident with that pick.
All right, we'll see what they do lean on towards. I would not be surprised to see the Vox coming out from Cloud9. It's something that they are very confident on. But it's also, I feel like historically we've talked about Vox being somewhat of a crutch for Cloud9, but I don't feel like that's been the case across the course of this tournament. I feel like Old School has really stepped up and shown that Vox is not, he's not a one-trick pony. This guy has a deep hero pool.
A lot of hesitation coming out from Cloud9, spending 30 seconds of their bonus time already on the first pick to then just pick up the Vox that we all know they're going to pick up. So shaky start to the draft by Cloud9, but they do get the Vox onto the Old School, performed so incredibly well with the last game, and he just excels on this hero because of the mobility it brings out, allowing him to stutter step and dance around the team fights.
Yeah, well, like Arden picked up here and then potentially ban away Koshka, and then Cloud9 will probably ban away the Baptiste, and Impunity should play their draft that they're so good with is that Celeste Cruel combination that we could see come out. And if they have Baptiste open, a weapon power Baptiste would work really well too. I would love to see them play that comp again because they excel on a Celeste composition.
Yeah, the Celeste comp's definitely something that works for Impunity quite well, but they're going to stick to this Arden first pick. This is what they've done all series long thus far. It has been pretty much their biggest priority throughout the entire Worlds tournament, so not all that surprising to see that that's where they go with their first selection.
Then let's see if this Koshka ban is going to come out because Koshka Vox was a composition they just lost in the last game. So if memory serves them right, the Koshka will be banned here.
Yep, taking that one off the table. They do not want I Love Joseph on the Koshka. Rona will be the answer though from Cloud9, and now Impunity have to choose their second hero.
I like that ban quite a bit. QC actually performed really well on the Rona last game. So many team fights, they got so close to finishing the first target, which was Vox, and had they done that easily at that point, Rona with the breaking point had been stacked, they could have carried on winning the team fight. So Cloud9 want to avoid that tough matchup, the Vox versus the Rona.
So let's see if this Baptiste is going to come out here or are they going to opt with the Cruel. But I think Baptiste will make the most sense because if they pick Cruel, Cloud9 is going to counter it completely with a Petal pick here because we saw Joseph play Petal on day 1 and excelled with it against their competition.
Yeah, I think it makes most sense to grab yourself either a laner or just something that's flexible here with this selection. Save that final pick for a counter, but they are going to grab themselves the Baptiste. This is something that we've seen Impunity run, both weapon and crystal, so it is a little bit of a flex pick for them coming into this next game.
Yeah, so now that they think Celeste will come out, Cloud9 can pick the Catherine and pick like a Reza mobile here that can get onto the Celeste, and that will be a nice combination for Cloud9 because Catherine is so good into Arden and Celeste.
Obviously, Lorelei is still open for Cloud9 though, and with Vox, they played it very well.
Ooh,
the Petal pick into the Baptiste. It does. Wow. Her minions do block his bad mojo, but at the same time, as you go on into the late game, they could get eliminated very easily because of the AoE damage, especially with the fearsome shades. So they will need to really abuse the mid-game power spikes that it has.
And even more so if Impunity do decide to round this out with a Celeste, this composition we have seen them run before. Just protect the Celeste with a Baptiste and an Arden. It works very well for them. So the Petal pick is definitely going to be a little bit risky.
Yeah, I think Gabe will probably opt for the Catherine. Oh, Lorelei instead here, instead of the Catherine. And that leaves open Celeste here. And I think with Celeste, they have to dive on her completely with Lorelei, supporting with the splashdown, Petal with the jump to close the distance, and Vox are all good at diving onto the Celeste here. But you have Arden and Baptiste who are so good at anti-diving.
I would like to see Impunity go for the CP Baptiste here instead of the weapon power, just because against this double range composition will be really hard to play the weapon power Baptiste.
And in that scenario,
I mean, in that scenario, you would want to pick up the Baron or the Kestrel here for QC in the lane, having a weapon power laner with the jungle Baptiste. But instead, they're still going to go for the Celeste.
Still locking in that Celeste and a whole lot of protection for it as well from Impunity. Gabe looking super serious. Just kidding. He's ready to get into game number 3. They're feeling good after 2 wins. How are we feeling about this game, gents?
The one thing I do want to touch on real quick is that the Celeste coming through does not guarantee that this is a weapon Batiste. They have run it both ways with this exact composition.
And they've run it with a Clockwork Echo Batiste, so a full utility Batiste with a hyper carry Celeste.
Yeah, and I think that may be the case and makes a lot of sense because of the AoE damage. Also, weapon Batiste could work too because if Vox tries to dive and he's on that Vox, he will stack very quickly with the Poison Shift Breaking Point build. And once he gets empowered, he has a 35% damage amp on his basic attacks.
All right, well, it's about time that we head towards this game number 3 in our 3rd place best of 5. Cloud9 are 2-0 up. Now that we have our compositions locked in, who is going to be able to take this one?
I want to go for Impunity because that's their bread and butter composition, and I would like to see them at least take 1 game.
All right, Tasty Bacon.
I want to see Impunity win, but unfortunately, I think Cloud9 is going to be able to take this one.
All right.
I'm going to go with Impunity. Cloud9's early game aggression has been not up to par, and with this composition that they need to abuse that power spike, snowball the game, I feel like they're not going to be able to execute, and the late game of Celeste will take over with Impunity.
All right, well, we started with a 3-0 to Cloud9 on the analyst test. Then it was 2-1 to Cloud9. It's now 2-1 to Impunity. My analysts are being swayed. Let's find out if the games will go the way as well. It's time to pass it back up to AJ and Denominate for game 3 of this best of 5.
Oh boy, this is going to be a good game as well. We have some interesting compositions coming in. Some heroes picked that these players are very strong on. We've seen a lot of interesting plays come out this game. Game 2 was very close to going the other way. I feel like Impunity are amped up, but Cloud9 are feeling good after their 2 wins in a row. It honestly could go either way.
Yeah, Cloud9's got to be feeling good after the late game Koshka win, as things were definitely turning around for Impunity very quickly there. I do like the composition both these teams have set up. They have really neat interactions with each other. You know, the Celeste very good at zoning away the enemies who are ranged, as well as, you know, Old School just on his Vox.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this could be our final game of the 3rd place match. The last chance for Impunity, possibly, to show up in front of their home Singapore crowd. Let's see if Cloud9 can lock things down or if Impunity can start swaying things back in their favor. So far, not too much crazy going on. Cloud9 looking for an early Elder Treant here. Unless Quatava can find some kind of a steal. It's not going to happen, though.
Not even going to try it. Not into the Petal, the Vox, and the Lorelei all there, whereas Impunity, they did do their back rotations and are now looking to just get back into the lane, get some farming done. Level 2 on QC. And Court d'Ivoire on this Arden is going to be really huge to me. You know, we have to see if he's able in the late game to help Celeste position on the back of the fight, you know, help create distance, because, you know, that's Celeste's real strong suit. Once Celeste hits level 8, you get the overdrive on your Heliogenesis. It increases your range, but if you're being dove on, if the fight is within that range, then you're not able to abuse that advantage. You're not able to get good poke down. So it's going to come all down to the positioning of Celeste if they want to be able to close this game out in the late game.
Looks like we're going to be seeing a double crystal power composition coming out of Impunity. This is something they've shown a propensity for running before, but is it going to be good against Cloud9 and what they've got here? Core Collapse does lock down Joseph. Impunity managed to find themselves that Treant. Nice little pickup early in the game, keeping things on an even keel for Impunity.
Yeah, Quisi back up here in the lane here on Celeste, trying to not miss out on any of these CS. Looked like he actually got it all, so good on him. As now Old School and Gabe is in the lane as well. A couple crystal bits here on Joseph. It does appear that Quisi and DefQ are both going down the crystal power route, as that Batiste does have those 2 crystal bits, looking to possibly go into that Shatter Glass for the first item, as well as obviously Crystal Jungle Petal on the side of Cloud9. We know for a while they were running the Weapon Power Petal in the lane. Not this time around.
No, not this time, Cloud9. Sticking to having Joseph on that pedal. He has really done a good job on that hero in the past, so I'm sure Cloud9 feels confident about it. Gabe Visual already setting up for this Treant. They got the timer on it. Pulling it onto their side will make it a bit easier for Cloud9 to take, but Impunity actually draws the aggro. With DefQ making his way down here, it's going to be hard for Cloud9 to steal. They're going to try and do it. Not quite going to happen. Going the way of Quisi, Impunity find a second Treant of the game. That actually brings the gold to even here for Impunity.
Back to even as these players are going to go ahead. Actually, Quisi is going to bypass getting the ambient gold in the backs with DefQ as he sees Old School's trying to push the wave up. Does get the Treant and then rotates up into the lane. Ooh, that Supernova just missed. And that's something that Old School is going to have to be careful out. He has picked up some early shield, but even then, Celeste, once she gets into the late game, is so good at just bursting through any defense you've built. And it's you know, one of Quisi's signature heroes, realistically.
Let's talk about something Iraqi Zora mentioned on the analyst desk. Cloud9, he said their aggression hasn't quite been up to the expectations that he had heading into this series. They've got Petal in the early game, something which can do a lot of damage. Do we need to see a little bit more out of Cloud9? You can see they're starting to posture more aggressively. Ordain comes down to keep the Impunity safe, though. Joseph just buying time for this trend. Do we need to see more aggression and more focused aggression out of Cloud9 in the early game?
After Joseph gets his next shop, once he does get to spend this 1,000 gold, he will likely start trying to take more of these half rotations out of DefQ's jungle. But now Gabe is looking to set up some vision over there so he can help with the respawns, get some vision of DefQ coming on over, who now has the chronograph, and Quisi has picked up the Dragon's Eye for the first item.
Very early.
So yeah, definitely going for those long, drawn-out fights, able to ramp that item up pretty easily with the Celeste.
All right, Cloud9 haven't found too many windows of opportunity to make plays happen here, but they are farming up very nicely. Even farm across Old School and Quisi means a breaking point first for him. He's going to be making his way back up the lane with that. You can see Joseph hitting level 6, already using Spontaneous Combustion, mostly just to get some poke damage in here. Ooh, Fish Food not quite going to connect this time around, though. Gave Izzle such a monster with those last game. Looking to continue that path here.
Yeah, definitely looking to do so. Old School has...
That's more like it.
Old School has completed the breaking point for his first item, which is you know, a little bit untraditional. We've seen Voxes mostly going for the Poison Shiv first item, and then either into a Sorrow Blade or into a breaking point second, whereas I think Old School might be going for the breaking point double monocle build that we saw once upon a time ago, which is very good into Celeste, actually. If you're able to dive onto her quickly, because she's going to have limited defense, you know, having to defend against Old School and Joseph, and is going to be going for offensive items, it can be very easy for Old School to build up those breaking point stacks. And especially if Gabe Izzle is landing these stuns consistently with the Fish Food as he has been, that may even force Quisi to go into a reflex block to try to avoid getting locked up.
This does mean no Poison Shiv early for DefQ, though, and the sustain from a Baptiste is nothing to sniff at. It can be quite strong. C9, talking about aggression, though, starting to make some plays forward here, looking to steal away a camp. They don't find it, though. It is going to be defended by Impunity, doing a good job of mitigating what Cloud9 is able to accomplish here in the early game.
Yeah, Shatterglass complete for I Love Joseph, and DefQ has actually completed the Clockwork first. So not a lot of raw damage coming out of him. Looking for just getting more hits out as opposed to those hits being incredibly potent, as now Joseph trying to turn things around a little bit.
Yeah, DefQ was trying to set up a play there where maybe a core collapse could come down after the Ordain stopped Joseph from having the freedom of movement he would like, but it's not quite going to pan out. Gabe, unfortunately, very low on energy. Going to stop Cloud9 from doing anything very proactive right now. Old School's got to be careful. That's the core collapse play we were talking about, but already a reflex block coming through. You can see Quisi even committing a Solar Storm to that. Very aggressive play out of Impunity. Kind of a set piece there. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. Old School is in a bad spot. Good fear coming out. But Water Wall and Flask buy some time. Now Joseph's entering the fray. He's looking for DefQ. Flask is going to keep him healthy, and Joseph actually jumped, I believe, into an Ordain wall there. Both teams battered and bruised, but backing off, not wanting to risk anything too early in this game.
Yeah, definitely not, especially with Gabe Izzle as low on energy as he is. He's going to have to recall here to base, top off his health, top off his energy pool so that he can be the impact that he needs to be in the next fight. He does have the Fountain complete as well as a Crucible. No boots yet on this Lorelei, though. And looking over at Court of Wa, he has the Fountain complete, but not quite at the Crucible. He has gone into some armor to try to prevent Old School from building stacks on this Arden while he's on the front line and try to give Quisi and DefQ a little bit more time. And, you know, this build on DefQ is all about keeping Celeste alive. They're putting all their eggs into the Quisi basket so that this...
Whoa, Old School. That's a lot of damage. He's going to have to walk into the wall, but the Fear doesn't actually land. Fearsome Shade goes wide, only lands lands onto the teammates of Old School. So Cloud9 don't lose too much there. Keep in mind, by the way, Queasy picking up around 7 minutes. An Eve of Harvest. So now 2 tier 3 items, able with the energy regeneration to siege this turret. Impunity looking very good in the early game.
Yeah, again, when Queasy is rotating down to the jungle with DefQ, they're quite often actually giving the Celeste the farm, because again, it's all the eggs into one basket. You're looking for this Celeste to be a hyper carry. The Baptiste is more...
Joseph, that's a core collapse on top of him. He's going to have to jump away. Water Wall does a good job of keeping him a little bit topped off. Old School gets stunned by the Ordained again, though. These Ordaineds have been doing massive work for Impunity. DefQ keeping C9 where Impunity wants them.
Yeah, definitely are, and if a Celeste is left alone here in the lane, this could be a turret possibly going down for Impunity. Old School not able to clear these minions out quick enough. One more will do as Impunity take the first little lead here as far as objectives go, but Cloud9 still slightly in the gold lead.
Keep in mind, Impunity playing in front of their home crowd here in Singapore. Definitely want to put on a good show. This is possibly their last opportunity to do so. You can see them tightening up a little bit in game number 3. They look like they have a plan, and they know exactly how to execute on it. Cloud9, however, haven't shown their cards very much yet. They haven't really done anything that's been very aggressive or very much designed to force Impunity into a bad spot. What are they waiting for here, Dename? Do they need one more Tyrant's Monocle on Old School?
Need to be getting into it for sure. They might even be looking for a fight now before Celeste gets too ahead of herself, as Old School and Joseph have picked up infusions.
Yeah, and this choke point, Impunity do need to be careful of spontaneous combustion, but still, good ability to turn around and poke back with the long range on those bad mojos and solar storms. We'll have to see what happens here. DefQ is getting chunked out. Old School wants to jump in, but here comes the counterattack. Impunity, they might try and go in. DefQ's got to be healed up by the fountain. Old School wants more, but he's gone pretty far forwards. Needs a fountain of his own. Impunity managing to get back. Quadavois forced to use that gauntlet defensively. Again, both teams taking a lot of damage, using a lot of resources, but not getting any kills. We're 0-0 at 10 minutes into this game.
Yeah, and it's not because the aggression haven't been there. You know, these teams have been running into each other, just nobody's been comfortable enough to find a kill. And Joseph was in a rough spot, a 1v3, but because DefQ and Quadavois are too low, they couldn't execute on it.
Yeah, it was a very dicey position there. You could see Impunity thinking, oh, maybe we can go in. Old School's not here. But unfortunately for them, a lot of that damage from Joseph, very easy to land. It just comes from the Munion's basic attacking. DefQ had a tough time getting into position there. Honestly, this game's incredibly tense, Dename. Either team looking for an opportunity to just break away with a big lead. Even with that turret picked up early from Impunity here, keep in mind gold lead slightly favoring C9. They're doing a great job of farming, controlling jungle, having good rotations. They're not missing many minions. That is obviously going to be massive here when it comes to looking for the gold difference. Gabe! He's very low, but Cloud9 do secure that gold mine. Impunity, I like Queasy trying to take it, though. You know, they're not really showing that they want to go for any crazy fights. Why not use some resources to try and pick that up?
Well, they don't really have to go for any fights at this point. You know, again, Celeste's range allows her to farm a wave very effectively and safely. Also allows to zone out the enemy, especially the short range coming out of the Vox. And now with Queasy sitting on the Dragon's Eye, Eve of Harvest, and Broken Myth, as well as a level 11 infusion to pass on once this level 9 burns out, they definitely have an opportunity they could win a fight.
Joseph is in a weird position here, but they do kind of have a flank on Impunity. Maybe they can go for it. DefQ taking a lot of damage. Silence is going to actually land on all three. Old School through the gauntlet wall looking for Queasy. Queasy is so low. He's just barely healing up. It's not going to be enough. Cloud9 draw first blood. They're looking for more. Quadavois goes down. C9 breaking away with a lead in this game.
Yeah, and this is why you can never sleep on Cloud9. Impunity took the objective lead early, but just like that, Cloud9 turned things around, and now DefQ, you're in a rough spot.
Yeah, DefQ's got to get out of here. Fish Food not going to connect. DefQ's just trying to turn around and do some good damage, but it's not really there. He does find a Fearsome Shade, buys some time. Keep in mind, Solar Storm's available. Might come through here. It's going to connect. Oh, it takes him down. That's huge. It shuts off aggression from Cloud9. Impunity. There's a silver lining for that team fight, I tell ya.
Yeah, turret goes over to Cloud9, but Queasy with the snipe from the base. DevQ played it so perfectly. The Fearsome Shade bought just enough time to not give up the ace. In fact, they find a kill off it as well. As we get into it right here, we'll see the Fearsome Shade comes out and forces Cloud9 back. DevQ lives on a sliver and is able to, this is right now, Celeste is now on the fold. Here comes the Solar Storm right through.
That's got to feel pretty bad. If you're old school, I gotta be honest. You did so much work for that kill, and in the end, you go down. Look at these fish foods, man. Gabe Visual thinking about getting a sponsorship from an ice cream company. You know the one I'm talking about.
Let's not go there.
Cloud9, though, they do have a good edge here in this game. About 2,000 gold in the lead. Impunity struggling to find windows of opportunity to be proactive. They were getting them earlier on, but now not quite making as many plays here. We do have an echo for DefQ, though. Interesting itemization coming from one of your damage sources. Definitely focused on keeping Queasy alive.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, DefQ isn't really a damage source. He's playing the try to help protect Queasy role. Hence the Clockwork first item has not even completed a second tier 3 offensive item, has gone right into that Echo for that Fearsome Shade or Ordain, whichever one really comes out and is more effective in a fight for him.
Now Impunity beginning to make their way up the map. You can see a line of stars where Queasy's trying to zone out Cloud9 from making progress towards the gold mine. So far doing quite a good job, also taking down these seeds before they even hatch, making it so Joseph doesn't have his full power level when they actually get into the engagement. But C9's making their way to actually go for a flank play here. Look at Impunity. They have no easy way back towards their side of the map. If Joseph stays on the bottom and the Impunity get engaged on this, be bad. That's going to be a stun onto Queasy as well. He's got to get out of here. Silence lands, though. Good gauntlet stun. Quadaball buys him some time. Old school into the gauntlet wall again. He's struggling so much to get where he needs to in this fight, but Queasy is so low. Joseph's going to take him down on the other side. Gabe's winning the fight against DefQ. Quadavois is going to go down. This could be another ace for Cloud9. They're starting to pull away with a huge lead.
Yeah, they definitely are. 6-1. They've taken over a 3,000 gold lead right at the 15-minute mark as well. This Kraken is on the board. Cloud9, no hesitation to start that one up as Old School's going into the lane. Going to force the minions underneath the turret there and then take away the jungle as well, denying any gold he can away from Impunity. He should have enough gold in pocket when he rotates down, finish off that second monocle, and that's where that build really starts to take off.
Round 2, maybe, Solar Storm? It's coming. It's coming across the map right now. Not going to connect, just barely. I like what Queasy's cooking here, though. He's trying to make these plays happen. Cloud9, they do have a Kraken, though. That's going to be big for this next push.
It looked like Cloud9 was even holding the Kraken low enough that it wouldn't kill it. I think it was a little closer than they intended it to be. They held off a couple attacks there, but...
It was like watching the toaster, right? You just think it's not going to pop. You finally turn away, and then it does.
Yeah.
That was what nearly happened. Impunity, though, they got to defend against Kraken push here, though. This is their tournament life on the line here. Third place to the team who wins this series. Cloud9 looking to take a second spot in the top 3 for North America. Impunity looking to save some face here in front of the home crowd. They put on an incredible performance so far, but I'm sure they'd like to do even more. Kraken not falling too quickly here. Impunity needs to do some more work onto that Old School. He's looking very strong right now with this tornado trigger just picked up between fights. Cloud9's trying to make space for Kraken to do the work it needs to. Queasy is getting some good damage in, but look at the fish food. Easily shutting down anything Impunity's trying to make happen. Cloud9 just back away. A very successful push for the North American All-Star team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, as you just mentioned, Old School did end up going with the tornado trigger over the second monocle. So looking to get more attacks out again. Still does have a high crit rate, does give you that bonus crit damage, and you know, can help you stack that breaking point up very quickly. He does need to get reinfused, however. He has an Aegis built and has You know, you have the core collapse, you'll have the ordain, you'll have the double fearsome shade, you'll have the double gauntlets as well. So it's going to come down to the positioning Cloud9 get in a fight. If Impunity can line these things up correctly, if they can bait the blocks out early with something like the core collapse, then that's going to give a lot more opportunity for DefQ to get a good fearsome shade down, or Courtois to get a good gauntlet down.
Look at Old School, by the way. I love this double reflex block plan he's got going on. When you got double gauntlets, you got to get through. Mine as well. I mean, you got 3 in total that he can actually use for himself. Really strong stuff here. C9 do have good control over the jungle here as well, making sure that Impunity can basically not even leave their base. That's going to be locking down this sentry. Again, late in the game, you want to take these sentries out and make it difficult for the defending team to back away to an objective they control if you're fighting over a Kraken. Old School's got to be a little careful staying on that side of the wall. He's kind of far from his team. But Cloud9 pick up the sentry. They're going to be able to back away safely.
Yeah, they definitely are, as they try again just to take as much gold away from Impunity as they can. Quisi is struggling to get into this clockwork that he needs so desperately, as well as does not have any defense at all. He has not committed into any shielding, any blocks, any armor, and it's really allowed Cloud9 to just get an enormous amount of damage incredibly quickly. Again, if Old School is allowed to get on Quisi, there's no armor. He's going to build these breaking point stacks incredibly quickly, and it makes him that big threat that we've seen him in the past couple games so much sooner.
All right, Kraken's back on the map here, Denamine. Cloud9 has already kicked it off. They did not realize that Impunity had that scout trap in the pit, though. So Impunity knows what's going on. Courtois is going to pop those boots. They got to make a play happen sometime soon. Fearsome Shade just going to be doing some work on the back line. They're not quite going to be able to... Oh, he gets it! He gets it! Impunity finds the steal! They're still alive in this game. Courtois, he's going to use that first gauntlet, trying to make some space. DefQ's very low, though. He's turning around, not going to get the kill. Can Quisi get out of here? That would be huge. Impunity, man, that steal was their lifeline in this game.
They have not won the game, but as you mentioned, it was their lifeline. They hold on for a couple more minutes as they try to get a couple of these builds online. We don't have a single block yet for the side of Impunity. No Crucible, no reflex blocks, and it has allowed Gabe Vizzle to constantly just land fish food
Has
after
the mad
fish food.
scientist gone too far?
He has gone a little too far, and you know, this is something we knew them for in the past, was they use their positioning as their defense, and thus far, with the amount of chase that Cloud9 have, we have the War Treads on Gabe Vizzle, as well as Old School has the Journey Boots. He's able to refresh that cooldown and reactivate those boots several times throughout the fight, get the chase down. He's able to find damage on Quisi. They have to play so carefully since they're just so vulnerable to everything Cloud9 has.
They really are, but as you can see, they have the ability still to make things happen. They've just got to find the windows of opportunity. Clockwork now finished for Quisi. So, I mean, once he sells the flask and he gets a reflex block, maybe that's all it takes. He has a lot of damage. He's got a lot of damage in these fights. Cloud9, they're looking to take another sentry here. I think this is the last one as well. So it does mean that it's going to be very hard for Impunity to play safely in their side of the jungle, especially if Gabe gets some more scout traps down.
Yeah, Solar Storm was fired off by Quisi, but unfortunately is going to just thread the needle between the players of Cloud9. And it's going to be down, you know, for another 20 seconds now, and the Kraken should be up here pretty soon. But Cloud9, I think they're just looking to force a sneaky little fight here and try to just end the game off of one push. 21 minutes in, these death timers are getting long. If they're able to find an ace, this crit build on the Vox, as well as Joseph with 2 shatter glasses on this pedal, will be able to chop down these turrets in no time.
All right, Crystalline Fusion refreshed for Quisi. Honestly, Impunity need every bit of help they can get for this next fight. If these last ones have been anything to go by, I like picking up an Infusion, but I'm not sure I like it over picking up a reflex block.
Gabe has been
It's a
spotted
bold
out
decision.
here.
Yeah, Gabe is going to back away probably. Oh, he's going to clear up some scout traps. I like that. Mine as well. It's pretty hard for Impunity to pull the trigger here. You're going to have to invest a gauntlet or two if you want to catch Gabe, and little do Impunity know C9 are trying to play some bait strategies here with the rest of the team just below that wall. Impunity, they've got to be careful. They need to not fall for this.
DefQ's finally completed the Broken Myth and is actually appears working into a contraption as well.
Wow.
So trying to make sure they can keep some vision control and not get jumped by Cloud9, because we know what's going to happen if they do, knowing the last couple fights. 7-1 Cloud9. And they're hanging on. They're doing everything they can at this point. Again, as you mentioned earlier, this could be their last opportunity. They pull it off. They're sitting pretty far behind, but we're getting to the point in the game that the gold doesn't matter too drastically. Contraption now complete for DefQ. Still not a single block, though, and that's scary to me considering how accurate Gabevizzle has been with the fish food.
Quisi's close, though, about 200 gold away now from picking up a reflex block. So with C9 actually giving up ground in the enemy jungle here, it is allowing Quisi to get some camps in, accelerate that one, especially with Kraken on the map. Kind of needs to happen. By the way, that scout trap by Kraken coming in from Impunity was the same one from the last Kraken. So C9 not necessarily doing their due diligence in clearing the area is going to maybe give a window of opportunity here for Impunity to make something happen, but Cloud9 have begun to try and take this objective one more time.
And they're on their way down, though.
Yeah, Cloud9, they're doing some good damage here. Kraken's falling quite low. Look at Old School off on the sidelines. Thinking about going for some kind of pincer play. DefQ making his way all the way around. I think, yeah, he moved by the minions. So Cloud9 know what's up. They know DefQ's making that position, and they don't feel comfortable fighting. This is interesting. Cloud9, I'm surprised they're actually so afraid of DefQ coming in from the side when they could maybe just go and hard engage on the other two members.
I think it's because they know that literally everything is up and ready to go for the side of Impunity. And if they're able to land that amount of crowd control, there is a real world where this 4-item Celeste that just had an infusion run out, unfortunately, could set up a good play against them. But now this Kraken, can we steal?
That's Cloud9 actually going for the engage. One gauntlet already used. Good fearsome shade buys a lot of time. Old School actually taking some poke from that exchange as well. Impunity very healthy. They've got another gauntlet if they want to go back in. Kraken has not been unleashed here, which means it is still quite wounded. DefQ doesn't want to keep it that way, though. Not taking the opportunity to re-aggro it. I think that's smart from Impunity. It's very risky to go for anything. Quisi is not going.
Quisi, they're starting up the Kraken.
They are all, I got respect for this. To be honest, I got respect for it. What's Cloud9 doing? They don't expect Impunity to go for it. Fearsome Shade making space. What is happening right now? What is going on?
Quisi going into a full blue build was able to take that Kraken so incredibly quickly. And now Cloud9, just like that, they have to retreat. They're not in the position to take a fight. They weren't in a position that they could steal away that Kraken. It goes over freely to Impunity, and now with a renewed infusion and an extra crystal bit, can Quisi find the damage he needs to bring down Old School and close this game out? Only 3 turrets between Impunity and a victory. A Celeste way more than capable of doing so.
Impunity isn't even taking the risk of pushing with the Kraken that they just got for free. This game has become so slow because these teams really don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Look at this, just firing off. Who cares? Who needs cooldowns? It's going to be another 45 seconds before I even see the enemy team anyway.
Yeah, adding a little bit of additional damage onto that turret, trying to make sure that the Kraken gets one before it drops. I don't think it's going to happen, but
anyway. Close. Oh,
close. No, not quite though. But you know, we now have a heavy prison built on Quisi as well. Still, no Crucible either. We still have no blocks. All it's going to take is one fight from Cloud9 where they can get a good stun onto Quisi, and Old School should be able to close things out pretty easily.
I mean, there's also a silence that you have to contend with coming out of Cloud9, and against someone like Celeste who needs to spam a lot of abilities, that's actually pretty impactful too. This is an interesting decision. If it pans out, I'm going to have to relearn Vainglory, I think. We got 3 Crucibles on Cloud9. They're picking up the slack here.
Well, they have to build 3 Crucibles, as well as we look at Joseph and Old School. They also have the Aegis as well, because there's so much crowd control they know they have to deal with. And Impunity have gotten turrets taken down, but it hasn't been off the back of fights. It's been off the back of unfortunate rotations for Cloud9. For example, the first turret was made when Cloud9 recalled the shop. Celeste came up, and Old School wasn't able to hold things off. And that's something Impunity has done very, very good at. They recognize that Cloud9 is out of position, and they capture capitalize objectively every chance they get to do so. Oh!
Ooh. Solar Storm not going to land. Gabe Bizzle wants to set up a play. That's going to be a fish food only on to Quatervoy. You can see he's going to use that first gauntlet, trying to make some space for his team. Queesy's doing a good job of kiting backwards, but Water Wall keeping Old School so healthy. Look at that gauntlet. Just allows the recall to come in from DefQ. That was the primary purpose of that. Now Quatervoy is way out of position. He needs to get a Vanguard in. He's going to get oh! Man, that was close.
What a play coming out of Impunity there. Quatervoy makes it out alive with the miracle Vanguard over the wall.
Look at the cooldowns, though. I mean, C9 really did not burn that much in order to make Impunity burn a lot. We've got Kraken back on that. Gabe Bizzle's caught out, though. This is bad for Cloud9. Look at the damage. Solar Storm is going to come through. Water Wall, you don't want to burn that one on your captain. Cloud9, they just got burned the same way Impunity did moments ago. Neither team has much left in the chamber.
Now, Gabe Bizzle has a fountain and he has a water wall, but he's going to have to recall all the way to base to top his health off. And now him and Old School are working their way over. Impunity, they're dancing around the Kraken pit here, but Joseph doing a good job of just keeping his presence, and that's keeping Impunity on their toes. They don't want to take the Kraken. They don't want to risk a steal.
Gabe does get stunned up by another Ordained. DefQ's doing a good job of finding some assistance for Queasy to get poke damage in. Cloud9, though, they're not taking any unnecessary risks. They're not going too far. DefQ getting stunned up there as well. Queasy, what is this last item going to be? Just a Shatter Glass, do we think?
Probably going to be either a Shatter Glass, maybe go into the Spellfire.
Ooh, that could be
we'll have to see. I mean, Celeste is all about the poke. With the amount of crystal damage that he has under his belt right now, we have the Dragon's Eye, we have the Eve of Harvest, Broken Myth, and the Clockwork. There is a real world where the amount of poke that Celeste is able to put out could add that ticking damage over time. It's possible.
It's a world I'd like to live in.
We're in a 5-item Celeste world right now. I'd love to see it here.
All right, well, Queasy is getting close to being able to afford pretty much anything on top of that heavy prism. But no control over the jungle makes it very difficult to go do that safely. And they have to go clear waves as well. So finding a window to shop without losing Kraken, not actually very easy for Impunity right now.
Not when Cloud9 have control.
Oh, Quatervoy gonna have to pop. That gauntlet is great. It just lands on the Old School. Fearsome Shade finds 3 as well. The ultimate's being burned very defensively, but very effectively from Impunity. They're certainly making plays. Frostburn, okay, interesting, but we do have Cloud9 beginning to take this Kraken. Look at how far away DefQ is. Queasy's pretty far also. That's a Solar Storm. It would need to do a lot more damage to make that one happen, but everyone on C9 pretty chunked out. They're slow at taking this Kraken in the late game. I would actually, yeah, Impunity, they're going to go ahead and keep this aggro. They want this fight for the first time in quite some time. Impunity being incredibly proactive, even using Ordained for damage on the Kraken. Old School is being very threatening with his positioning here. Keep in mind, Solar Storm back up in 4 seconds. That does mean that it will be available for the fight. Old School wants to flank Queasy. He's trying to split up a little bit here. They need DefQ to get back in the fight. Oh, the fish food! Where was your reflex block, Queasy? No, Impunity. They have been routed. C9 are looking for more. Another fish food, DefQ. He's got to get out of here. Dodges the second one, though. Quatervoy, I don't see him escaping with his life. That was huge for Cloud9. Impunity, they just got absolutely annihilated in one fell swoop.
How many times did we have to sit here, AJ, and say all it's going to take is for one good stun coming out of Gabe Bizzle? DefQ trying everything here. Has forced Cloud9 off. The aggro has reset on the Kraken. There is that. But it's only a matter of time. I mean, he can't come down and contest it by himself.
I mean, Impunity at this point, they've got to defend against Kraken. That's not going to be easy, okay? Is it possible, though, is the question. I think it is possible, right? It's still this game is still live.
It's definitely a real scenario. They have a Celeste. They have the just artillery in their belt that they can bring down on this Kraken. It doesn't walk out of the way of Heliogenesis. It just kind of sits there and lets you do whatever you want to it, especially once it gets onto the turret, and that makes it very easy for Celeste to make short work of its health. But Cloud9 coming as well. Solar Storm burned 30 seconds before that's ready. I would have liked to see it used more for trying to finish off a low health enemy, and now Cloud9, they're all healthy, marching into the base.
Good double stun coming out from Gabe Vizzle. That is not on a long cooldown at all right now. Quadavois gonna burn that gauntlet, trying to keep Old School away from the turrets of Impunity. A second one comes through. Joseph's on the outside though. Quisi, he's got to do the damage. He is finding somebody again. A stun lands. Gabe just keeps them coming. Joseph, he's on the back line trying to distract Quisi from the Kraken. He's taken very low though right now. Quisi should be able to pick up that kill. Oh, Joseph, he does go down. The Kraken is still pretty healthy. The Vein Crystal is falling. Impunity, the pride of Singapore. They can't quite do it. Cloud9 are your third place team at the 2017 World Championship.
What an amazing Game 3 to close out today. Impunity, you guys played